the time this afternoon to join us. And as Sam mentioned, we're going to be reviewing the franchise disclosure document. And we find that sometimes this can be a bit of overwhelming step in the discovery process. I'm sure many of you have had a chance to either review an FDD or maybe downloaded our FDD at this point, and you see how many pages it is. So our goal really is just to go through each item together, help digest it together for you, and just make it a little bit easier. And again, help you feel confident with what you'd be agreeing to if you decide to partner with us. So what is an FDD? An FDD stands for a franchise disclosure document. And as Sam mentioned, it's required for every franchise to have one according to the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC. And every franchise disclosure document, whether you're looking at HomeWell or you're looking at other franchise brands, has a total of about 23 items. And in the table of contents of the FDD, along with the 23 items listed, you'll also see a few exhibits listed below. One important one worth noting is Exhibit C. And Exhibit C contains a copy of the franchise agreement for your review. Now, the difference between the FDD and the franchise agreement is that the FDD is a disclosure document providing information about the franchise opportunity, while the franchise agreement is the contract outlining the terms and obligations of the franchise relationship. So again, today we'll go through each item together at a high level just to help you break it down. This will also help you better understand the franchise agreement, as there's a lot of repetitive language from the FDD in the actual franchise agreement. So items 1 through 4, franchisor background. A lot of that is covered here in these sections. So item 1, this section is pretty straightforward. The franchisor, predecessors, and affiliates. Now, item 2, this will give you a full breakdown of the business experience of our officers, directors, and executives. The leadership team is really who sets the strategy and the direction of the organization. So it's just important to feel aligned with their vision, since that's a big part of what you'll be executing on. So you'll be able to gauge this more on our discovery webinar that we actually host once a month for our franchise candidates, where you'll be able to listen to presentations on the executive leadership support for each of their departments. So ensuring that the mission, vision, and direction of the company aligns with where you want to go is a vital piece of determining fit. And of course, our team has decades on decades of franchising experience, so we're confident in the support that we offer. But again, just ensuring that there's alignment there is very important as well. Now, item 3, so any cases of litigation for however long a company has been franchising is required to be listed here in item 3. It's pretty normal to see a few pages of litigation for just about any franchise, as disagreements can happen in business and not everyone can be pleased, but it's definitely good to review and just ensure that it all seems within reason. And then that brings us to item 4. So this section is required to disclose if the company has ever filed for bankruptcy. Luckily here at HomeWell, we've never filed for bankruptcy, so you will see our section in item 4 blank. So items 5 through 7, this sections will get into the fees and the investment. So starting with item 5, this section will discuss the upfront costs of doing business. Now, it's important to note that any fees that you see in our item 5 have already been factored into our initial investment range. However, we just want to break it down for you so you'll know what is due upon signing the franchise agreement. For HomeWell, Section 5 will break down our flexible investment options, our veteran discount, and discount if you're purchasing multiple territories. Item 6. So this section will discuss more of the reoccurring fees that are associated with doing business with a franchise. Here you'll find more details regarding HomeWell's royalty fee, our brand fund fee, and a few other minor expenses like our email expense. So item 6 is also a great chart to reference if you're using a Performa tool, as some of those reoccurring expenses will be mentioned there in item 6. And then that brings us to item 7. So this section will cover the initial investment. It'll give you a full breakdown, line by line, what is being factored in and what are the predicted low and high ranges of each of these line items. Now there's a notes section below the chart in item 7, so that will provide you with additional context behind each line item that's being factored in. So if there's any confusion or just concern behind what a particular line item means, I would encourage you to reach out to your development director, but also read the notes section below the chart. Here at HomeWell, we also have an economic workbook tool that we'll give out to you, which will also allow you to perform your own independent exercise on where you think you might land when it comes to your initial investment. So items 8 through 11. This section will cover the franchisee's restrictions on products, supplies, equipment, or services. Now, the overall purpose behind item 8 is really to protect the brand's level of consistency and service. So one thing that we know about building iconic brands is that a brand's consistency in service and offerings builds trust and recognition, leading to customer loyalty, increased sales, and a higher perceived value of the brand and its products and services. So item 8 is put in place to really help protect the brand, which is ultimately going to protect your investment. Item 9, franchisees' obligations. So this section will give you a complete overview of what is required or what's on the franchise owner to do and what is on the franchise owner to complete. So at this point, you should have a good understanding as far as the overall support that's being offered to you by the franchise organization, but making sure that we're properly setting your expectations and you know what's on you to complete is very important. So that is covered here in item 9. Item 10, financing. So if the franchisor offers any special financing for the investment, that'll be detailed out in item 10. Most franchisors don't offer direct financing, but they should have financing referral contacts that they can give to you to help you start the lending process. Here at HomeWell, we do have several trusted financing referrals that we can share with you to be a helpful resource. So if you have any questions on financing, again, I would just encourage you to reach out to your development director and they can certainly assist you with that. And then item 11, franchisor's obligations. So this section will give you a detailed breakdown on all the pre-opening support and training that we offer to our franchisees. Another important exhibit to note, if you're just curious regarding support, is Exhibit D. There you will find the table of contents of HomeWell's brand standards manual. Now, of course, you won't receive a copy of the operations manual until you're officially a franchise owner, but it will outline it for you as far as the table of contents will be listed out there. So just having a good understanding, again, on the pre-opening support and training, and then the operations outline, I think is also an important part of deciding fit as well. So items 12 through 15, starting with item 12, this section will outline the typical size of a territory that you would have the rights to operate your franchise in. Here at HomeWell, our territory sizes are typically capped at about 350,000 in total population. We also want to make sure that there's enough of a senior population to support the territory. So we typically look for a minimum of about 30 to 40,000 seniors ages 65 and up, and then at least 10,000 households with an average household income of about 125,000 or greater. Item 13, this section will touch on any trademarks, service marks, and trade names that are used. And then item 14, this section is also pretty straightforward. It'll touch on any patents, copyrights, and proprietary information. And then lastly, item 15. So this section touches on owner's participation. So if a franchisee is required to be more hands-on, or if they're allowed for more of an absentee owner, that will be listed out here in item 15. At HomeWell, we do require that our franchise owner is playing an active role in the business. Initially, our owners act as either their own sales representative or they'll act as their own HR/office administrator/scheduler. As you get closer to about 1,000 billable hours, then you'll start to build up your team more and more. We also have worked with investors that are interested in multiple territories and have the capital means to build out their team day one. Although this setup is not as common for our owners starting out, if this does match you on the call today, we're willing and open to start a dialogue around how HomeWell could meet your investment criteria. So items 16 through 18. Starting with item 16, product or service restrictions. So this states the products or services the franchisee may sell. This item also correlates similar to item 8, which protects HomeWell's brand consistency in service and offerings, and of course, ultimately protects your investment. Item 17. So this section will cover more details behind renewal, termination, transfer, and dispute resolution. Now, it's important to note that this section of the FDD is written in very literal terms. So I think it's important to ask your development director about the nature and the relationship the franchisor has with the franchisees and just how they go about handling conflict. I know here at HomeWell, our goal is to resolve any situation as it doesn't help anyone if a franchise owner has to be terminated. However, every franchisor wants to reserve the right to protect the brand from any bad apples, which of course also protects your initial investment or your investment as well. And then lastly, item 18. So this section will list out any celebrity names or public figures who are representing the brand. HomeWell, we don't currently have any public figures listed at this time. Would be fun if we had Shaq or one of those celebrities. That would be great, but unfortunately not yet. And then item 19 are financial performance representations. So this section of the FDD contains what other franchisees have earned. However, it's important to note that the franchisor is not required to provide an earnings claim, and the salesperson is only authorized to state the numbers that are disclosed in the FDD. Luckily at HomeWell, we do have a very robust item 19 that shows every single franchise owner in our system sales performance. Table 1 in our item 19 will share with you the year that franchise owner opened, how many territories they're currently operating, and their gross sales performance for the past 2 years. So it'll show you that year-over-year growth. We also have a step in our discovery process called validation. In this step, you'll be able to reach out to our franchisees directly and you can really ask them anything. So any additional questions that you have regarding sales or just margins that you're not going to find in our item 19, you can bring that to your conversations with the franchise owners. And we have found them to be very transparent with our candidates. Now, items 20 through 23. Starting with item 20. So this section will touch on if there's been a net change in total franchise territories or units over the past 3 years. And in HomeWell's item 20, you'll see for the past 3 years, we've been averaging an increase of about 22 additional open territories year over year. There should also be another chart below that one that'll show you total transfers, which that'll refer to any franchise owners that are selling their territories. So if any territories have been resold, that is what they're referring to when they mention transfers. Item 21, so this section provides any just company financial statements from the franchisor over the past 3 years. I think it is important to review that as well, make sure that the company is within good financial standing. And then item 22, agreements. So including the franchise agreement and any other agreements, this can be found in Exhibit C, what we mentioned earlier. So that is the franchise agreement. And then lastly, item 23. So this contains the receipt page. This is something that HomeWell and every franchisor needs to collect. It's just important to note that signing the FDD receipt does not commit you to becoming a franchise owner with us or just any brand. It's simply just acknowledging receipt of the FDD. Excellent. But in our discovery process, I just want to make sure I mention this. We do provide the FDD pretty early on to our franchise candidates. So, as you're going through it, if there's specific questions that you have regarding the FDD, myself and of course the other development directors on our team, we're happy to set up separate meetings to go through that with you. Or if you've never reviewed an FDD before and you prefer us to kind of walk you through our FDD, we're happy to set up a call to do that. So we're here to support you, again, to help you break it down, make sure you feel confident with what you'd be agreeing to if you decide to partner with us. So at this rate, I'll just open it up to any Q&A and see if anyone has any questions.